even in chess, these guys, like, you have Magnus, like the best player in the world. Like, dude, just he confuses people, in the beginning, because he just plays like something they're like confused. They don't know about this because they studied probably something else, and then he just puts them out of their comfort zone. Like, putting people out of their comfort zone is like where you're gonna see them at their lowest most of the time.
So then, like, Stefan is like the Magnus of poker.
Oh, dude, Stefan. Oh, don't get me started on this guy. Oh my god, this guy just. I mean, I don't know how many times I've played with this guy, but every time I'm done, I needed an aspirin. I'm trying to compete, and I've always enjoyed it. And I think by doing this, I'm learning like way quicker than most people. This has been like you learn way quicker. You see what they're doing and you adapt, and you just like, oh, maybe because the thing is, I try to not criticize plays before I kind of understand how they work. Maybe this is something I could implement, or this is something I shouldn't implement. This is so it's like a lot of learning by doing. And basically, I was battling Davy Jones and Nacho for a long while on 25, 50, and 51. And I got crushed by like Davy Jones, especially. He just crushed me. Like, he really did. He just destroyed me. In the three-handed format, he was just way better than them. And from the 500 Zoom days, he was still just way better than the rest. He was just always been very good. And I think he has something on me, and he just knows like how to adjust against me very well, especially him, I would say.
So would you say this is also a quality that you see in like better players, that you have a certain game, and like you said, everyone's game is flawed in a certain way, and maybe he understands a flaw in your game that maybe you don't understand, and he capitalizes on that, and that's kind of what sets better players apart?
Yeah, so the thing is, I have to say, I played against, I didn't play that much against Linus, but I played some, and I played a lot with David Jones, a lot. And I would say those two guys, they just know how to adapt very well. They're just like, and I played button clicker heads up too, and that guy, the same thing. Like, they just know, they've played so many hands, and they just know how things work, and they've seen I'm assuming they've seen my player type so much, they just like use like a very like, let's say, general strategy like I would do on 500 Zoom against me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I had more of those leaks before, like maybe a year ago, but since then I've been just like trying to work a lot on my game, because I was noticing I was struggling a bit on the highest stakes.
Mm-hmm.
So the last, let's say, 6 months, 1 year, I've been working a lot on my game and trying to like, okay, if I really want to compete both online and live, I kind of gotta
step up
have
your
to
game
work.
in certain
Yeah.
areas.
I was getting lazy and entitled, and like, I was getting very lazy. I must say, I was getting very entitled. I was getting attention, and I was, and
You're like, I made it now. I'm here.
yeah. That's the thing, and the thing is, like, I did very well in a couple of tournaments, which has like boosted my let's say, financial situation a lot, which compared to many cash regs, they just grinded it up. Like, I grinded it up too, just like them. Honestly, I really did. And then but I jumped like through the stages quicker, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
because of those like tournament scores. But I mean, there is some luck in this, but like, yeah, if you play enough tournaments, you're gonna get like the EV from that too.
I mean, it's also interesting that you mentioned, like, okay, when I play a tough lineup online, you try to play more like the solver game tree, but that's also because the better your opponent is, the more solver considerations become relevant, right? And I feel like in your decision making, this is something that a lot of players get wrong, and this is something that you do very well. And I guess that's also how you transition well between online and live. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, oh, who am I up against? Because depending on the answer to that question, your train of thoughts should go either down one direction or the other. If you're indeed up like against a GTO Wizkid, then by all means follow the solver. But often that's not the case. So then you have to ask yourself more, well, I know how theory works. Like I said, there is a lot of value in that, understanding the solver, understanding how theory works. But then it's way more, I understand how theory works. This guy is screwing up either too much to the left or the right, and I should now start adjusting, right? That's kind of what you're explaining, and something that you say that maybe, especially at the lower stake Zoom pools, people are just following the solver too much and not really thinking about these type of things.
Yeah, so Master Dog has said this before. I remember watching some of his videos. That guy's an absolute troll, by the way. This guy is an absolute troll, but I find it very amusing. But yeah, so he said like I remember him saying like, okay, you can try to play a strategy that you don't know how it works, or you can try to simplify against weaker opponents and just like earn the most money in every situation, or the way you know is the most money.
Mm.
Because more often, I wouldn't say more often than not, but I mean, say if you're playing against very weak players and those things, you just like simplify, you know, because they're just gonna play like very weak compared to you, and you, like, yeah. My point is just like people are very like, oh, solver, 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 this, that, the blah blah blah. Yes, the solver is very important. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying like there are many situations where you're just like not doing the best thing. And by not doing the best thing and trying to play like a solver will mean also that you forget to exploit, you know? Like exploiting is a big part of poker still, you know? Even in 2023, it's a big part of poker.
Yeah, it's
This is
in my opinion, it's kind of the thought process that you go down if you work a lot of solvers. Your thought process is often led by I have to now do this, or they face something. What do I have to do? And then they think about what would the solver do. But the first thing you have to take consideration, well, what the fuck? What kind of range am I actually up against? Let's start to think about that. What the fuck does this guy actually have? And then actually
yes.
what to do will then come quite naturally based on, I think he's quite strong here, or I think he's quite weak here, or maybe I should just bet very big with this hand in my vacuum because I'm playing against a guy who's, clearly approaching the game different than a solver.
Exactly, you know, it's just like I think people are just trying to feed their egos by like, oh, the solver did this, so I'll do the same. And then they go in and the guy is like probably drunk on a Saturday night playing 200 Zoom, and he's gonna call you down, you know, and you're bluffing, and you're going, oh, I played it good. No, you did not, you know. It's like
You didn't see, you did. It's you only isolated the piece of the information in a puzzle that's way bigger than the actual piece you focused on, which was, well, I have the best unblockers, I have the best blockers, let's go. Where the puzzle is a little bit bigger.
I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, like the best players in the world are the guys who like have a very good 50-50 balance of this, you know? Like I've said this before, like these guys who I talked about, like Davey and Lightus and Barak as well, he's so good. Like, and for a long time I thought he was like very tight, but the kid is just brilliant, you know? He's just very smart and he understands these things, like, and these guys understand these things because they see like the bigger picture.
They think
You
about
know,
different things. They take different things in consideration at different weights than you are taking in consideration.
exactly. You know, and if you're gonna become like the best player in the world, you gotta like use a, like it's got to be finessed. You know, it's like okay, solver is one thing, but what about this? You know, people overfold here, even though the solver always calls. You know, it's just like because people think they underbluff here, and they're using like these like general thoughts and like how people perceive the game in their advantage, you know? And this is what they're supposed to do. They're just like, yeah, like I said, seeing the bigger picture.
Seeing the bigger
And
picture.
generating more
I like that, yeah.
And generating more money and like more EV in like, yeah. And honestly, it's super smart. That's how it's supposed to be.
I mean, there is let's say, for example, you start, and at some point the solver can definitely help boost your game, but then there's a phase beyond the solver, sort of,
yes, exactly,
which you have to
yes.
reach, which at some point you have to just let go.
Not everybody can't remember what the solver does 100% of the time. It's not possible. It is literally impossible to do play as a solver. Even in chess, these guys, like you have Magnus, like the best player in the world. Like, dude, just he confuses people, you know, in the beginning because he just plays like something they're like confused. They don't know about this because they studied probably something else, and then he just puts them out of their comfort zone. Like putting people out of their comfort zone is like where you're gonna see them at their lowest most of the time.
So then, like Stefan is like the Magnus of poker.
Oh, dude, Stefan! Oh, don't get me started on this guy. Oh my god, this guy just I mean, I don't know how many times I've played with this guy, but every time I'm done, I needed an aspirin because he's just all over the place. This guy is just, and I played some heads up with this guy, and he's just all over the place, man. He just has like 15 different moves, but honestly, I would say the guy is pretty smart. He does that. Yes, he just puts people out of their like comfort zone and just, and he's been trying these things for years. You know, he
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
how people react and how he's gonna counter react. You know, but yeah, you know, if you meet him in the wrong mood, the guy is just a beast. You know, he's just gonna be like playing very well, and he's yeah, like he is like a super exploit but no theory guy. He's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is just
He was here, then the theory helped him, and he went beyond, but he went beyond.
yeah, he's yeah, that guy is I would almost say crazy. I don't know, but I do not want to
I
live
mean,
in
the
that
line
head.
between crazy and brilliant, it's a thin line.
Yeah, yeah, it's a thin line, yeah, obviously. No,
I think I saw a video on one of these YouTube channels the other day. There's like he showed a hand, played at 10 NL, and then they were making fun of. But then he suddenly said, "But actually, this was a hand not played at 10 NL, but at 40 KNL." And now suddenly it became an interesting hand. Whereas at 10 NL, you thought, "What the fuck are these guys just dunking around?" But
is that
no, it was
MMA
actually played at 40
Sherdog?
KNL, and then it was suddenly amazing.
It was MMA Sherdog who posted that video a long
No,
time
no,
ago,
I
right?
think it was it's either this two card confidence, I think, or the finding equilibrium. One of the two that made like this comparison.
Oh,
And
okay.
and, and I think the main thing was that they at 10 NL you can see the same hand at 10 NL as 40 KNL, but the difference is obviously the reasoning or the thoughts that went behind the hand.
Okay, yeah. So it's like it looks like a 10 NL hand, but it's like
Yes.
40K
But he
now.
did a great edit, so definitely shout out. Maybe I can put the link somewhere or something. But also, I thought it was very well done. It's like suddenly the transformation, but this was actually at 40 KNL. But like
Yeah, but
it's quite interesting. Like for example, what Stefan does, and kind of go full circle what we talked about earlier. If he uses certain strategies that make your range in a certain way that you're no longer very much aware of what the ranges are, but he's perfectly aware of what the ranges are. And in the end, if you're very much aware of what the ranges are, you can make great decisions. So if he every time maneuvers in a way that he knows your range and his range perfectly, and you have no fucking clue what you're doing, like I said, you need an aspirin.
yeah,
The
it's
chances
just
are quite big that you will screw up and not him because he knows.
yeah. I remember being at the Bahamas. I just like played some. I think I just made fourth in the 25K, so I had like a lot of stars balance, you know. And then
You're like,
suddenly I see Stefan in the 10K lobby, heads up, and I've been practicing my heads up game for a long time, you know? I've been battling like against the best. This is how I've been learning heads up. This is by then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna play Stefan a little bit, you know? And we go railroad crazy, man. We play for 10 hours straight. I'm sitting there in on my MacBook, like at the Bahamas playing Stefan, and we're just writing shit to each other on the chat, and we're just going back and forth and blah blah blah. And then he just at the end he gets very upset and just writes something. So like the guy is just he just has 10 different moods, like you know. I don't know, but he's a super funny character, and I always enjoy playing with him because you always have to think, you know. It's not like this and this and this and how I'm gonna construct my range and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, dude, it's like you raise the button, he calls, and the flop is like 10-10-3. He just leads out one big blind. All of a sudden, you can just lead out one big blind, and then you raise him, and then he insta clicks you back, and you click him, and he clicks you. You know, it's just like a freestyle show out of dimensions. The guy is just, and he makes it super fun to play. He's just like super humorous and like, yeah, it's always fun to play with him. And even in six max, man, it just depends on which mood you get him. You know, he
yeah,
has
so
like a
so
lot of
basically he has 10 different strategies and they're all related to 10 different moods. So he
yeah,
wakes up,
yeah,
just puts his feet out of bed and like, which mood am I in today?
yeah,
I'm in
and
a click at mood.
yeah, and you don't, and you know, you can say a lot of things about the guy, but like all of the strategies are like good. Like it's not like super just dust all over the place. He's just like he's really thinking, you know, and he has already made up his mind, kind of. He already knows what he's gonna do, and I think this comes from like he's like an OG of the online streets, I would say now.
Yeah,
He's like an OG.
you have to learn this. There's yeah, he's definitely OG. I remember when I was mainly playing high stakes. I think he was just moving up actually.
Yeah, he's as I would say, he's pretty good. Yeah, and he's one of the, like, you would say, like, not like the norm, you know?
Yeah,
He's
no,
like,
no. I think everyone agrees that he's not the norm. Yes,
but he's also one of the biggest winners on Six Max of all time, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He's yeah, I think he's a pretty intelligent guy. Let me just put it like that. Yeah.